Welcome to the SJ Child Show. This episode is sponsored by Water and Body Basics. Visit 3440 South, 5600 West, West Valley City, Utah. Mention SJ Childs today.
Hi, and welcome to the SJ Childs Show. I'm your host, SJ Childs, and today I have a really special guest. He is a parenting coach, consultant, guru. No, I think that the advice we're going to get today for listeners is so valuable. I know you're all going to appreciate and really be grateful and have gratitude for all the information and education we're going to get today. So without further ado, Jeremy Roadruck, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. I am excited and so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. One of my favorite interviews to be able to do are with fellow authors. And I think that there's so much value to be provided to the community through books, even though a lot of books are, found online or Audible, whatever, wherever you're getting education, you're growing, you're, expanding your thoughts and your brain and your mindset. That's what you should be doing. So yes, tell us about yourself, give us an introduction, and tell us about, the projects you're working on.
Yeah, so gosh, that's a lot of stuff.
Loaded question there.
Well, I've been on a personal development quest for over 41 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started very, very, very young. I had some trauma at 5 and 6 that took me sideways, and impacts in my life that I've actually dedicated my life to helping prevent in other people's lives, as well as giving parents the tools how to recognize trauma, how to help support your kids, redirect it, guide it, as well as do direct integrative work one-on-one with people as adults, even teenagers, how to kind of let go of some of the BS, some of the belief systems that hold us down. And so I wrote my book. It was actually my second book, Your Best Child Ever, Is This Game Worth Winning? And I wrote that when I was single and I wasn't dating and I didn't have kids, but I did have 17 years teaching martial arts, as well as at that point, it had been 25 years of personal development. But I had been in the military, I'd been a factory worker, Renaissance Festival worker, security guard. I had done corporate work. I had done security guard work. I just brought a lot of experience. I was a national and international champion and competitor in martial arts. I had been teaching for a really long time. So I had a wealth of experience just interacting with life at lots of levels. And specific in the martial arts school, I saw a lot of parents with a lot of love for their kids, but not always the tools to bring out the best. A lot of scarcity, a lot of control and dominance, a lot of fear. And I saw patterns being repeated. And I had tools to just sidestep all the drama, sidestep all the headache and heartache, and just how can we resolve and how can we just pivot and move on? Not that anyone's wrong. It's just you're using a set of tools which are producing a result. How's that working for you? Would you like to try something different? That's it. Because I always get consent before I coach, right? Always, consent's a beautiful thing. I teach that age 4 on up, like permission before we do things. And so there's ways that we can just play this game called life. We can make it a win-win. You get to feel good. I get to feel good. Then we can move on together. So in a family, especially, it's win-win or no deal, right? You feel good, your kid feels good, then we figured things out. And there's going to be those moments because we're all human. I've had the moment I yelled at my daughter and made her throw up when she was a baby person because I wasn't in a great place and she wasn't in a great place. And we call that a lose-lose. And it's like my wife is watching this going, dude, not okay. You teach all this stuff and you need to be living it. And I've got a great wife. Autumn holds my feet accountable, calls me on the carpet occasionally. So that was sort of the impetus for the book and the coaching I do. And now I'm really focused in on serving dads and their communication, their relationship, their presence with their kids and their wives, even in their career, how they can show up and not always be kind of nurse the grindstone, produce. I'll enjoy it later. Well, with your kids, you only get 18 years and then they're grown and gone. So you better savor it because you only get one shot. So that's kind of what brought me to this point.
I love that. And it's really our experiences that drive us to be able to educate others, give others advice on, this is what I've been through, this is what I have experienced. And it sounds like you being able to see the patterns very early on and the desire to want to fix them. I mean, that is huge. Number one, that first step, that desire, because so many people play the victim, stay the victim, rather, and they stay in that mindset that nothing can be changed. We have a little visitor. Hello, what's happening? Do you want to say hi to Jeremy?
Find my phone.
Oh, go have sister do Find My Device, okay? Sorry about that. Always a little visitor possible, That was DJ. That's our son with autism.
Okay.
He's 11. So yeah, and the great thing is that when he does come in, I love sometimes it looks like he was upset right then, but he does like to come and say hello. And that's so important for me to see him does want to do the social piece of the world. So that's a lot of fun. But getting back on track, it is so important, especially I think that it's not as celebrated maybe in the community, that dads really come and step up to the plate, that they have the right tools to be able to do that. So yeah, that's a really amazing thing. What kind of got you started when you started writing your books and things? What was the ideas from other people or kind of their feeling about it? Tell us about how it affected, the people that you had shared it with.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the book was written out of teaching martial arts and the impact and the interaction with the parents and the kids. And I can think of someone very specific. I had a dad who was a pilot for the Air Force, because Dayton, Ohio, we have the Air Force Base, right, Pat, just around the corner. And he had a son who was speech delayed. Oh, can't find the phone. So he had a son who was speech delayed, and at 4, he had 17 words. And I met him when he was 6. And his very first class, he sat down on the floor, we're going to line up, and he started spinning donuts on the training floor. Now, I could have been in positional authority. I'm the instructor. You have to do what I say. Line up. Who do you think you are? Like, I could have taken that hard edge. But all I did was, since he had the behavior and he was spinning, I was like, this is where he is. All right, cool. I was like, wow, that's really good. Can you spin to something blue? And now he had to look around the room, and I had a mural on the wall. And so he spun to something blue. And I was like, cool. Can you get up and run to something yellow? And then he looked around, and I had the bamboo as part of the picture, and he ran over to the yellow. And I was like, that's awesome. Great listening. Can you stand still for 10 seconds? And now he's frozen. And I was like, can you join class and line up, please? And then he did. And so in the space of about 30 seconds, I just gained his attention, drove his behavior, guided his behavior in a direction that was manageable for me. And then I challenged him, and mainlined him, and it was no big deal. And then about 2 months later, he had gotten so used to kind of the routine of how we did things. He came early for class, and I was talking to someone, and his dad asked me, hey, I was like, yeah, just tell him to go ahead and start us warm up. I'll be out in like a minute. And then he went and told his son, and his son was like, no, Steve hasn't said start class. I'll wait. And he practiced his self-control and his discipline. And Dad was like, we've seen this huge change in just a couple months in his behavior. And so I was talking with Dad about communication, rapport, and Dad loves his son. And they've been working with speech therapists for years. And he's never seen anybody get the impact or the influence on his son that I had so quickly. And I could hear the frustration in Dad's voice because he couldn't connect to his son, but he wasn't blaming his son, he was blaming himself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And when you're putting that stuff, stacking that stuff on yourself, when you're punishing yourself, it makes it really hard for you to show up for other people. And it's not that Dad was doing anything wrong. It's just I had a sequence for how I communicate. And I have a little grid that I go through, I put in my book. And so I explained to him the tool. And within a week, they had a whole different relationship because now Dad can figure out his communication channels and how to parse his information so that it lands for his son. Yeah. Is he more visual in this moment? Is he more auditory? Is he more kinesthetic? Or is he more conceptual? And so there's certain things you can do and structure to get the momentum.
Yeah.
And so that's really the thing I've seen is just parents feeling more confident, more competent, and them being able to adapt themselves, right? Because it doesn't have to be, I'm mom, I'm dad, you have to do what I say.
Yeah.
that wears out. And if you want to produce an adult at 18 who can actually run their life, you got to kind of step back and let them start to run their life at some point. It's not magically at 18 the wisdom fairies come and clang you on the head and now you know and you can run your life and you can sign contracts and you know what that means. It's gradation, and we're slowly backing off and slowly letting them step to the fore in their own life. So that's been the feedback and the impact I've gotten from other families.
And I really love that. I think that it's, oh, hello.
My phone is in the car.
Okay, well, why don't you go out there and ask sister, can I please use mom's phone just for a few more minutes? Compromise, right?
The power is not in my control. Well, just negotiate.
Oh yeah, bless their hearts. So hopefully, I think that we give our children, as you can see, a lot of flexibility and a lot of just human respect, because they're humans.
What kind of apps do you delete on your phone?
Well, you can use whatever apps are on there for a moment. Okay, can you go ask sister if you can use my phone, please? And sister can just be willing to help. prompt right? Oh, heavens. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about the interruptions. I appreciate that, you're somebody who can fully appreciate and understand being a parent. Dad's not home and mom's just got to do what mom's got to do sometimes. And that means work from home and manage being a mom at the same time. And that's okay.
Absolutely. And you have no private time. And I can't think for myself. Somehow my kids do the same. Somehow when I'm home without mom, they can find ways to entertain themselves without me. But when mom's home, mom, can you, mom, did you, mom, it's like, I sit here, watch it and go, I'm like, hey guys, she needs to get things done. So you have an hour, I'll put a timer on, you can entertain yourselves and leave her alone.
Yeah.
The next time I hear you say mom and you're not bleeding, we'll start the clock over again.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, I mean, and it depends on what all they have available, maybe 30 minutes, whatever. But yeah, just kind of give them a parameter and be aware and then hold them accountable.
And especially since you've seen it already happen, you know that they're capable of it, you know that they have the awareness of it. And so then it's not this rash expectation of your child to do something out of the ordinary. That's independence. That's, when our daughter, when she was 8 and said, I want to know how to fry an egg. We were like, yes, thank you. Get over here. Let's fry an egg. And now she goes and cooks herself breakfast and is able to do those types of things. And that's important to do. Those are skills that, I'm sure, and every parent gives their child chores and things. And we don't necessarily do chores, but we do ask that there's participation when work needs to be done in the home. Just because we're not really like, okay, well, if you do dishes, like you'll get paid. Well, what if you go and you are at a campground or whatever, and you do the dishes and nobody pays you? Like, what's your expectation going to be of that? Like, that's something you don't get paid to help out when you're a part of something. You just participate. And of course, there's other types, like we mostly give allowance to good choices. That's what we like to reward, when the kids are out. And it's interesting. There's a group of kids in the neighborhood that is like 6 kids, and they like to just bully my daughter. And her dad always tells her, you're just one kid. Like, how intimidating is this to them that you're just one person and all 6 of them are up in arms about it? Like, you should recognize that as like something when you stick up for yourself, when you're out there and you just don't let it bother you. Good for you. That's what, let's stay up an extra hour tonight and watch a movie. You get those kinds of things into your kids' minds that, okay, I'm going to make the choice that might be harder, but is better for me and is going to help me to feel better about the situation.
Yeah. Well, even if they're trying to pull you down, where are they? Above you or below you?
Exactly. Yes, that is so true too. I really like that analogy. And that's easy for kids to understand.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Let's and I love what you're doing with the dads, empowering the dads and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about that. And how you help them to connect and kind of those steps that we were talking about earlier?
Sure. Well, one of the things I do with the guys I work with, and even when I work with their wives, because I've done couples work as well as whole family stuff, is I separate out masculine polarity and feminine polarity to say there's these two natures and they each kind of operate in their own way. And a guy, pokey out part person, they can be masculine, they can be feminine, they can switch between the two, they can run in one in certain circumstances and then run in the other polarity other times. Same with women, people with pokey in parts, they can operate this way, they can operate that way. It's not to say all people must be some box or container, because people are massively complex creatures, but it's just to recognize some of the variables that are in play. Because if a guy is going to get upset and he's yelling and he's screaming and then he's angry about something and he throws something away and somebody else is giving him pain, they're like, oh, you're being so irresponsible, you're being such a child. I'm like, well, actually, that's a masculine ritual of disarmament. What he just did was he disempowered himself and made himself vulnerable in front of you by throwing away his weapon, because he could have killed you with that thing. And he chose to deflect all that energy and tension he put into this thing that he then, and if you're adding the judgment that he's behaving childish, it's like you're misunderstanding. He just disempowered himself. He just gave up a weapon because he doesn't want to hurt you. But he's at an emotional breaking point. He's overloaded, and every instinct in him says, kill the thing that's bothering me. Because masculine, the three primary drives of masculine is procreate, protect, and provide. And if it's not a situation for procreation, then the next instinct that shows up is protect, which is why when two kids are upset, dad's first instinct, masculine dad, is to yell at them and get them to stop, because I've got to protect them from each other first and protect from escalation. So I got to stop everybody by fighting. And then whoever's left, I'll be a provider and I'll feed the survivors. That's kind of the instinctive drive. It's not personal. It's not conscious. It's not a choice. It's just what he's doing in the moment. And when guys start to realize that and they go, oh, then it's like, all right, now, cool. Once you're aware, take a deep breath, because you can switch those gears faster, right? Once you have awareness, it's a key that opens a new door. So, dude, you feel that protector energy rise and you feel Hulk smash. Take a deep breath. You know what, guys? I need you to stop right now because I'm about to explode. Do you want me to go to an 11 or can we stay at a 7? And so you can start to explain what you're feeling and kind of your level, even if you can't articulate the words, because it'll come out as a bunch of invectives and swearing and screaming and yelling and holes in walls. Cool, let's just put a number on it. Let's disengage it quicker. And it's okay to put yourself in timeout when words are failing. You can teach your kids, they can put themselves in timeout. Just this, everyone gets a 5-minute break, go to neutral corners and breathe. So giving masculine guys that awareness, that the two main drives is the protector and the provider, who should be showing up right now. Because you can also run too much provider, then you fall into feminine and scarcity and you become a people pleaser. And I'm not going to show who I really am. I'm going to twist and contort myself to try to please you, to earn love. And for a feminine woman, she might like that consciously, but she can't trust it, because I need to be able to lean into you when I'm unstable. And if you're twisting and contorting yourself, a masculine person living in their feminine, it's depolarizing and the relationship fizzles because I can't trust you. I might not like this part of you, but I need it and I respect it because I know where I am in context.
Yeah.
And when the guy falls into his feminine and moves into his people pleasing and the scarcity, that's not a sustainable strategy, because it forces her to now have to be in her masculine, and the whole relationship depolarizes, and then you're screaming at each other for ridiculous things and you have no idea why. So making people aware of these dynamics, not to attach it to a cultural structure, or it must be pokey in people are this way and pokey out people are that way. It's like, well, yeah, kind of. It's sort of like quantum theory. It's 90% probability that there's scarcity and there's abundance and they operate different. So it sounds kind of weird at first, but as you play with it, it becomes a really powerful tool to identify, oh, I'm in a feminine storm. I'm going to say things I don't actually believe, but I feel in the moment. I'm going to shut up and leave now. I love you. I'll be back in 5. And when you say that to your wife, she's like, what just happened? But then at the same time, it creates trust, because you leave for 10 minutes, you come back and you're more centered. Then she can I don't know what that was, but that was cool. Because she can trust you and you can provide for her. Even you take yourself out of the equation for a second and then you come back with more presence.
Yes.
You're actually in this conversation, not to win or dominate, but to really connect and to serve. And then she gets lit up and she trusts you and she leans into you more sexy fun times, less drama with the kids, more she wants to take care of you, not like a mom, but like a woman. And it's the whole polarity changes literally like that. It's cool stuff.
No, I think I agree with that 100%. I don't think I do. I know I do. I don't, my sentences sometimes, right? But yeah, that is completely true. And I love that when we give each other, you know, the grace and the understanding to go through things and to be able to show your emotions. My husband is so much less emotional than I am outwardly, yet when he needs to be, I might not like it so much, but he needs to be able to have that space and that trust, like you said, to express those emotions without me judging him or making him feel bad about it. I would never do that. So yeah, I think, and that's what has that trust between us, is why 17 years later, you know, we miss each other when we are apart. And I think that it's been so amazing to see the growth. Like I was saying before, if, you know, he is like the most amazing father, so present with his children, so engaged, so aware, so involved in not only his actions, but his thoughts about them as well, which is probably where it all begins, is like you said, changing that BS.
That's right. It's all BS. It's all belief system. Say it another way, it's all stories, right? Because the story we tell becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you change the story, you change the behavior or the meaning of the behavior. I had a dad I was working with, and he was stressed out because his 6-year-old is always attention seeking and it's interrupting him. And he's working from home and trying to provide for his family, and his dang, my 6-year-old attention seeking, blah, blah, blah. I let him kind of, you know, have his storm for a second. And when he was done, I was like, you know, there's a lot of guys in the same place as you, but let me ask you a question. Is your 6-year-old attention seeking? Is he taking something from you, or is he connection seeking and he wants something with you? And dad's shoulders dropped and his eyes went wide, and he had never considered it that way. And all of a sudden, their whole relationship changed because of one word: attention versus connection. And the idea, my son wants to connect with me. What? Like it was something, my time is being taken from me, and that's the provider, or that's the protector talking, right? Resources are being taken from me. But the provider goes, oh my gosh, how can I show up more for my son? How can I put structure around this so that it serves him, serves me, and we can connect, and we can, and his whole trajectory changes from just the one question, the one insight, because you change one meaning. So your kid does something interesting, or stupid, but interesting. that was really interesting. I'm curious. What led you to? And the minute you say, that's interesting, I'm curious, you've now hypnotized yourself into a whole different behavior pattern. It's really hard to be angry when you're curious.
Yeah.
Because you told yourself you're curious. So I must be curious. Help me understand. And now your kids feel heard, they feel safe to speak, and then you can figure out what led to this result. Hey, dude, that's not okay. We're not going to do this again. Yeah. These will be the pain points. This will be the consequences on the negative side if you do it again. But if we can avoid this and do this over here instead, which is more better, then this is going to be your consequences in a good way. And you're going to get this and this, and I can trust you, and you're going to, and I can build their identity when they win. And you were talking earlier about, you know, punishment and being paid for tasks. It's like, well, there's extrinsic from the outside rewards, but there's intrinsic, this matches my identity and my values. And that's really what we want to do with our kids, is we want to build in them a strong intrinsic drive to be and do their best.
Yeah.
And so there's ways to get there. And a lot of it is painting that best self. Well, these are your positive consequences if you, because consequence isn't bad, except that parents only use it when kids mess up.
Yeah.
Right? Consequence is, oh, you got straight A's? Well, I guess your consequence is you're going to get a pizza party. Oh, darn.
Yeah.
And your kids are like, wait, what? Consequence was pizza party? You're
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
And you fry their circuits because they're not used to that language. It's like discipline. Discipline's not you're in trouble or you're being punished. It's just do what you're supposed to do, no matter if you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I love the way you say that too, because I think that we definitely run our lives that way. We appreciate and we want to see want to see them work to do their best so that they can get rewarded for doing their best. We don't threaten them. We don't, you know, yes, there's those moments where you're like, okay, you say you're going to miss out on YouTube for the rest of the night. And then you're like, oh gosh, that was that's a stupid punishment. Come on. Right. And then sometimes, but I think that there's boundaries that need to be set with clear and concise action and reactions. but
Mhm.
but I don't think like threatening things, even though we do it frequently, and maybe not too frequently, but yeah, those are the kinds of things we need to stop ourselves as parents. We need to learn how to use the right kind of language with our children to have
Yep.
the best results.
Yeah, and the right kind of leverage too. Because with my
Yes.
6-year-old, no YouTube will get her attention.
Yes.
But with the 11/12-year-old, no YouTube isn't that big a deal. No
Yeah.
phone, that's a bigger deal,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And then we tie, we tie their choices and their actions and their momentum to their outcomes. Help me
Yeah.
understand, if you're not listening to mom and I throughout the day, and if you're doing this and this, and we say this and you do that, help me understand, how do you deserve YouTube? Because is YouTube a requirement to live, or is YouTube extra? Like you
Yeah.
could live your whole life without YouTube, right? Okay, so
Right.
it's extra. Okay, because I got to get them to agree to that. They agree it's extra. Okay, so if it's extra, help me understand what you've done so far. How does that move the dial over towards YouTube time, or does it take away?
Yeah.
And now I'm
Definitely.
framing they're choosing their own adventure. I'm not here to punish. I'm here to help you as you choose your own adventure. Now you do not so smart things, you're going to get not so smart stuff. And we told our daughter not to. We were going to go out for a run, and we said, hit the red square, make a left, and da da da. And she went out into the street, and she's 6, and she should. We've run this route before, and she just wasn't paying attention. So yeah, she got yelled at, and she got scared a little bit, because that could
Yeah.
be not paying attention, could be you dead. And we're
Yeah.
not saying that in hyperbole. We have idiots that ran down that neighborhood where we lived in that house, and they didn't pay attention to what they were doing. And you'd have people 60, 70 miles an hour in a neighborhood that's
Ooh.
got on-street parking. So there's no way to, like,
Yeah.
it's just idiots, babe.
Yeah.
And we'll say nice. We'll say there's just not smart people, but there's people
Yeah.
that make not smart choices. So, for the rest of the day, you got to hold our hand when we walk, because, well, I don't know, because we told you not to, and then you did the thing. So you're going to have to hold our hand just to be safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she's yelling, and I don't have to hold your hand. Yeah, you do, because you're still shorter than the hood of the car.
Yeah, right.
If you
Yeah.
showed me better listening, then I could trust you to be able to be not holding our hand. But because you showed me this, then this is what we are going to do today. We can try again tomorrow, and you can show me better listening. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. No, I think that setting those right boundaries leverages, I mean, that's all where it's at. It's just the language of speaking to children, right? 100%. Well, if we wanted to find out where we could get your book and find out more about your coaching programs and things, tell us where we could find them.
Sure. Well, there's Your Best Child Ever, Is This Game Worth Winning, available on Amazon as Kindle, paperback, and Audible. The only parenting book with a money back guarantee.
I love that.
I have yet to have to give the money back, because people read it. I did the money back guarantee because I was single, no kids, not dating when I wrote it. And I've just left it on there because, as far as I know, it's the only parenting book with a money back guarantee.
Hey,
Tony
I like
Robbins,
that.
no guarantees on his book. Jack Canfield, no guarantees. Brene Brown, nobody. They put guarantees on their books. I'm like, I'll throw that in just to be a punk.
That's great.
So there's that. My main website is theparentingprogram.com. We are also the parenting program on YouTube, and we've got videos going out once a week on there. And then on Facebook, there's the Win-Win Parenting Group, which is win/win parenting. So it's facebook.com/groups/win-win parenting is where I do live content. And
I like your lives. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have
really great value, just so everybody knows. Go check them out. Definitely.
Yeah. And then Facebook is where I'm most active. That's the social media I kind of want to be most involved in, because it allows the most interactivity.
Yeah.
But it's facebook.com/JeremyR. The Kung Fu Guy is my personal, and then Jeremy Roadruck is my professional.
Perfect.
And I'm doing motivational moments once a day, content, going through quotes. And I've just got a lot of content that I'm putting out, because darkness is easy, suffering is easy, and it doesn't have to be that way. It could be a choice.
Absolutely. Make the good choice and buy Jeremy's book and go visit him on his sites on social media. I know I am personally. So I know if you want to be more like me, folks, just kidding. Join us and join Jeremy's Facebook group. Thank you so much for being here today. I absolutely honor your time, your message, what you're doing for our community and for our parents out there. So thank you on behalf of all of the parents that will get such value from this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for letting me be able to share my message. And I want to point out, You said something in the pre-interview that we did that I thought was probably one of the absolute best compliments a dad could ever receive. And you said it about your husband.
Yes.
And that was, he's the type of man I would choose to be my dad if I had a choice.
Yep,
And I
absolutely.
think for every dad on the planet, like that hits home on so many levels. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, that's the impact we want to make. And for our wives to see us that way, that's cool stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And he's going to be so happy when he hears this. So that's wonderful. Yeah, I really had a great time talking to you today. And I look forward to, staying in contact and just, being able to bounce ideas and things off one another in the future. So thank you so much, Jeremy. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you too, Miss Sarah.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.